Right now on the National Weather Desk, Texas tornadoes, twisters touch down in the Lone Star State, while heavy rain leaves some communities flooded.
It's real nasty out here.
You can't help Mother Nature.
Despite those storms, Texas is seeing fewer tornadoes than in years past.
And more tornadoes in sort of the mid-south, southeastern United States.
Did last month's rain impact drought anywhere in the country?
Particularly over southeastern New Mexico and southwest Texas.
How you can catch a glimpse of a meteor shower this weekend.
You might want to stay up a little later or wake up early.
And it's the Run for the Roses. How will the weather impact tomorrow's Kentucky Derby?
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. Many across Texas are assessing damage this morning after tornadoes followed by heavy rain brought flooding to several communities. Listen closely, you can hear the hail as it hit the windshield of that car, and you can see a tornado in the distance. It's from Jones County, just north of Abilene. Here's another view of the twister. Buildings were damaged, some destroyed in the towns of Hawley and Hodges. Thankfully, no one was injured. In southeast Texas, intense rain caused flooding in many cities. Hardest hit the town of Livingston, northeast of Houston. This is what it looked like. Flooded fire training center, I should say. And check this out. U-Haul trucks swept on a road by rising waters, reaching as high as some roofs. Mandatory and voluntary evacuations were issued, and another round of rain continues this morning. A flood warning remains active through noon local time and a flood watch through this evening. The San Jacinto River is said to be at its highest level since Hurricane Harvey nearly 7 years ago. Maya Caleb has a closer look at the flooding.
It's real dangerous out here, so if you don't have to get out, I advise you not to get out.
Heavy rainfall caused significant flooding around the city of Beaumont.
My ditch is full of water, so like I say, it's real nasty out here.
The flooding makes for dangerous driving conditions.
I mean, you got to be careful from hydroplaning. Of course, with on the freeway as well as in town.
Some roads became impassable due to the flood levels.
Yeah, it makes things pretty inconvenient, but you can't help Mother Nature.
A third round of heavy rains in just 3 weeks causes significant flooding across southeast Texas.
I said, it's really, really dark. Something's not right.
It's wind and rain Lisa Temez says she's never seen before.
And then all of a sudden my trampoline goes against the neighbor's fence and flies in the air, and then I'm trying to film again, and then it flies back down, and the wind is just going like crazy.
But just up the road in Nederland at the Baumsel home, it's what they heard that startled them right out of bed.
We were sleeping and we heard thunder and the biggest crash.
It was the sound of a large tree snapping and hitting the roof of their home. Out of countless hurricanes and even strong thunderstorms, Scott Baumsel says the house always managed to make it out unscathed until now.
That tree's been hit twice by lightning, and apparently this time the wind got it.
Severe weather may strike again today. The Storm Prediction Center has posted a 2 out of 5 risk for parts of Texas and Kansas, including Lubbock and Abilene. The risk continues tomorrow in West Texas, where severe thunderstorms may bring large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. May is the most active month for tornadoes in Texas, but the area traditionally known as Tornado Alley is moving. Texas is no longer in the heart of it. Betty Cross from Austin has more.
May is by far the worst month for tornadoes in Texas. 30% of the state's tornadoes hit in May, 18% in April.
This Manor house had part of its roof ripped off by a tornado. 110-mile-per-hour winds also knocked down fences and damaged cars. It was a costly reminder that April and May are when almost half of the state's tornadoes blow through.
In terms of the total number of tornadoes so far to this point in the year, we're basically dead on with the sort of the average over the last 10 or 20 years.
Dr. Chris Nowatarski is a tornado researcher at Texas A&M University. He's studying the impact of climate change on tornadoes. The latest data shows the number of twisters in the United States isn't changing. What's different is where they're touching down.
Signs of less tornadoes in Texas and Oklahoma, where we normally think of Tornado Alley, and more tornadoes in sort of the mid-south, southeastern United States, like Alabama, Arkansas, those states.
This EF3 tornado just hit Nebraska. Unlike Texas, it's a little early for tornadoes in that state. which is consistent with the Texas A&M research.
We are actually seeing some signs that we're getting maybe less tornadoes in the spring and summer when we're normally used to seeing them, and then more in the fall and winter. So we're seeing sort of this broadening in time of tornado season.
One of the top priorities of the Texas A&M research team is to give the public more confidence in tornado warnings.
One of our goals is to eliminate the unnecessary warnings and increase the lead time for the warnings that do produce tornadoes.
It's Derby weekend in Louisville. Here you can see the famous Twin Spires at Churchill Downs, where the Kentucky Derby will take place tomorrow. It will start just before 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Some races today, known as the Kentucky Oaks Day. Cincinnati meteorologist John Gum took a look at the weather jockeys and horses and spectators can expect today.
Well, it's been called the most exciting 2 minutes in sports Kentucky Derby weekend in Louisville at Churchill Downs. And today for the Kentucky Oaks, it's looking wet. Bet on a mutter. We're talking upper 60s here in the morning, low 70s in the afternoon. Fairly widespread rain moving through at times through the morning. It starts to taper off a little bit in the afternoon. For Derby Day, the opposite. We got the chance of rain in the morning, and then the chance drops in the afternoon with temperatures rising into the middle to upper 70s.
Some areas have been quite dry as of late. Meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg has this week's drought monitor update.
The weekly drought monitor is in, and as you can see, for parts of the southwestern U.S. and central U.S. and northwestern parts of the country, there's been some moderate to severe and even extreme drought conditions, particularly over southeastern New Mexico and southwest Texas with severe to extreme drought. A little bit of that in western Montana. Southeastern U.S., most areas are okay, but there's been some unusually dry weather in parts of the Carolinas and Florida, with now a moderate drought for parts of east central Florida from north of West Palm Beach up into the Melbourne vicinity. Forecast rainfall for the next several days shows a lot of those drought areas will not be benefiting from rain. There will be locally heavy rain, though, for parts of south central Texas and Louisiana, and also a few inches for much of the southeast up to the northeast. Meanwhile, much of the west, except for western California, will be rain-free.
Hard to believe hurricane season starts just 4 weeks from tomorrow. Meteorologist Alex Cordero takes a look at how the season may shape up.
Now that we're in May, we are less than 1 month from the start of hurricane season, and more preseason forecasts are coming in from several sources. Like Colorado State University, several forecasts for the season are calling for very active seasons. Several are calling for around 21 to 23 named tropical storms, which would exhaust the list of names we have for any given season. 11 of those storms are forecast to become hurricanes. Now, this very active forecast is due to two main reasons. One, the very warm Atlantic waters across the main development region where many tropical storms and hurricanes form. In addition, a La Nina is expected. This event is a cooling of the equatorial Pacific waters. This does cause global impacts, including a lack of wind shear in the Atlantic, which can aid in tropical storm and hurricane development. Whether the season is active or not, this is a good reminder to make sure you're prepared for the upcoming hurricane season.
Attention stargazers and skygazers. This weekend may offer up a pretty good opportunity to take in a meteor shower, and the views may be pretty nice. Meteorologist Matt Bender has more.
You might want to stay up a little later or wake up early as we have a meteor shower taking over the night sky this weekend. The Eta Aquarids, which have been going on since April 15th, will peak May 2nd through May 6th. Now, this meteor shower comes from it looks like it comes from the constellation Aquarius, but it's actually from Earth orbiting into Halley's Comet's debris. And this meteor shower will be best seen on the evening of May 4th through the morning of May 5th, combined with the little moonlight we'll have. So find an open spot with little to no light pollution, turn your head upwards, and watch up to 60 meteor showers as we collect the dust from Halley's Comet.
Are you looking for more great weather content? Be sure to check us out on social media. You can find us on all your favorite platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code at the bottom left corner of your screen. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, wildfire season is just around the corner. We'll show you how to make sure your home is ready. And we'll look at how winter months have impacted springtime pollen counts.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Mundt. As we look at the Northeast, we are going to stay dry for your Friday. A mixture of sun and clouds for many areas. Mainly cloudy skies towards parts of Maine. Then our next weather maker moves in for the day on Saturday. We are going to see some rain for areas like New York, Pennsylvania as well. Lots of clouds for many areas. And as we get a look at the high temperatures for today, 70s in western New York, but 50s and 60s for most.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We'll be looking at dry conditions for your Friday and a lot cooler. But as we head into Friday night late, we will see a chance for some showers and thunderstorms. It'll be more rain likely on Saturday and lingering into Sunday. Widespread rainfall. This is going to be a very wet weekend out here. But we will be looking at temperatures much cooler. Mid-70s for your afternoon on Friday. But we will only reach the 60s for highs on Saturday and Sunday.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. We're looking at Atlanta at 85 degrees, Birmingham 84, Jacksonville 87 degrees, about 84 West Palm, and then Charleston 82 degrees. We do have a mixture of sun and clouds along the I-95 corridor, nice and sunny through Florida. We do have some disturbing weather up in portions of up around Kentucky and also looks like Tennessee. There will be showers and thunderstorms. Memphis will get some heavy rain, and the next line of storms will be moving through East Texas as we get through Friday night, Saturday morning.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
It's Friday and the weekend almost here. Let's check in across the country to see what weather's like in many local towns. We start off in the capital of Illinois. Unfortunately, it's a gloomy start to the day in Springfield with some sun later on this afternoon. Highs should reach the upper 70s. Plan for showers at the Buzz Bomb Fantastical Folk Jam tomorrow. Next, we head to Biloxi, Mississippi, known for its casinos and white sand beaches on the Gulf of Mexico. Highs today will be around 80 degrees with rain chances. Next, we head to Spokane, Washington, in eastern Washington state. The 47th annual Lilac Bloomsday Run is this Sunday, but today is Fluffy's Fritter Fest. After a chilly start, plan for a nice warm-up this afternoon with highs in the middle to upper 60s. And our tour draws to a close in the city by the bay, San Francisco, California. This Sunday, they have the big Cinco de Mayo festival planned. Highs today will be in the 60s under a mix of sun and clouds. Maine's piping plovers, and let me say that again, Maine's piping plovers, or is it pipping? I'm not sure. A type of bird have made a return, but according to the Maine Audubon Society, despite several sightings, the birds are still considered a threatened species. Meteorologist Ryan Munn has more.
The birds are pretty resilient. That's one of the things that makes them well suited to the beach is that they can move where the sand is. Oh, and there's a plover running up right now. Piping plovers are small shorebirds that nest on our sandy beaches. Here they nest from really North Carolina all the way up to Canada.
Zitsky says that piping plovers are listed as a threatened species federally and are protected under the Federal Endangered Species Act. However, it's a little different here.
In the state of Maine, they're listed as an endangered species, and so they're protected under both acts.
Humans and pets tend to pose the biggest risk to the plovers to survive, but there's more.
There are a lot of natural predators such as crows, fox, gulls. The thing is, these birds are incredibly well camouflaged, as you all saw walking out here. They're really hard to see, and that's how they've always survived.
There's a group of volunteers who watch the beach from sunrise to sunset. And I have to say, I have been so impressed by the dogs because they come running, they see the signs, and they make a U-turn.
So you can see it takes a lot of people and effort to increase the plovers' numbers. Or as Laura Zitsky would say, it takes a village to raise a plover.
It's that time of year. Pollen levels are up in many parts of the country. As Baltimore meteorologist Amy Aronson found, pollen amounts are highly dependent on the weather.
We had a mild winter, so the pollen did start, tree pollen, significantly in February.
And when it comes to pollen, rain is a good thing.
If it rains every other day during the spring pollen season, which can be late February through mid-June, then it'll wash the pollen out every other day and the counts will not be as high. If there was a year where it didn't rain for about 3.5 weeks in the middle of the tree pollen season, and that season was horrible because the pollen just flew around and sometimes it would settle and then the wind would pick it back up and you'd start mowing your lawn and that picked it up.
Dr. Matt says while tree pollen is already wrapping up for the season, the grass pollen is just getting started.
You walk around your neighborhood or the city, you'll start to see those. They look like little dried up worms, but they're actually, and they'll come in clumps. Those are the pollen anthers that have fallen off of the trees. That's where the pollen came from. So by the time they've fallen off the trees, there's not a lot of pollen. The grass pollen season peaks in mid to late May. Typically in our area, Memorial Day is often a high time, but with a milder season, it may be earlier. And if it gets very hot and dry in June, the grass pollen will stop.
If you suffer from allergies, Dr. Matz first recommends limiting time outside during high pollen times. Second, taking the over-the-counter allergy medications. And third, seeing an allergist. In Baltimore, Maryland, I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson.
Wildfire season is just around the corner, and May is Wildfire Awareness Month. Savannah Henkert has more from Spokane.
Now, we do so much to fight wildfire when it's out in the wild, but as it then approaches the communities, the built environment, we're looking at how you can narrow its path of destruction and keep that fire from spreading inside the community.
The Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety is saying even if you don't live close to open lands, your home could still be at risk. They demonstrated this in front of a fire-ready and a not fire-ready house.
It's not the flame, it's the embers that fly and get to you. You want to make sure it's just going to fizzle out and not ignite your landscaping, your furniture, and ultimately your home.
As embers are the main cause of home ignition, there are a few things you can do to keep that away from your home.
First and foremost, it's about defensible space.
They say to give your house 5 feet of room from anything combustible, even healthy watered plants.
Those become little green gas cans and they light on fire and they cause a threat to our buildings.
That also includes fencing material.
Make sure that the last 5 feet that touches the building is non-combustible, and that's going to prevent the fence from wicking the fire right to your house.
Building features are also an important piece.
Make sure that your attic vents are screened in because you want to make sure embers can't get in.
Each of these tips were shown in their demonstration as the fire-ready house never caught fire due to the initial 5 feet of defensive space.
It's been more than 13 years since a super tornado outbreak in the U.S. Meteorologist Violet Skyber has more.
Back in 2011 was the super tornado outbreak. From April 25th through the 28th was the biggest tornado outbreak in United States history, stretching from Texas all the way to New York State with a total of 360 tornadoes, 22 of which were EF3 strength, 11 were EF4, and 4 got up to EF5 strength, which is the tip of the scale. But what kind of damage does tornadoes of this strength do? Well, starting with EF0, that's minor damage. So damage to gutters and siding, shingles peeling off the roof, starting to see some power outages as well. EF1 is where we saw 7 of those in New York State, and a lot of places reported significant roof damage, broken windows, small trees uprooted, and poles can be toppled over. A couple of those tornadoes reported in New York State got up to EF2. We actually saw some barns completely destroyed, but this also caused some roofs to rip away. Cars can be flipped over. We even had a report of an 11,000-pound trailer toppled over in New York State. And most poles are knocked over, creating power outages as well. Tornadoes outside of New York State that we saw from this got up to EF3 with severe damage. Extreme damage from EF4. That's when we can see cars thrown into the air and much of this landscape stripped. EF5, the top of the scale that I mentioned, which we saw 4 of these during this outbreak, leaves homes completely swept away. Some concrete even ripped from the ground, and grass can be ripped up as well. So significant damage from this outbreak. In New York State, though, on average, we see about 10 tornadoes per year, but many of them go unconfirmed.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Drying out a little bit across the Central Plains, which is good. You guys have had so many storms out there, but we're seeing some of that rain shift its way into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, where it's been drier lately. And these scattered showers and storms still continue to work their way across the region on Saturday. And by the time that we get to Sunday, dry across the plains, but that rain continues to kind of shift its way out towards the Great Lakes. Temperatures running, though, well above normal.
Good Friday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchan with a look at our forecast across the region, starting out with some showers and storms. Then later in the day, on the lookout for a few more strong to severe storms. West Texas, they would develop and then move east. Highs will be in the 70s and the 80s across the region. They're seeing into the evening as they work into north central Texas. Meantime, here's Saturday, and in the morning, it's a real mild, humid start. Mix of clouds and sun. Again, on the lookout for some showers and thunderstorms Saturday. Could get 1 or 2 strong storms in northwest Texas.
Well, hi there, everybody, in TGIF. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Heading into the first Friday of the month of May with some warmth, as usual, in the desert Southwest. We are getting closer to summer, and it sure feels like it lately with 90s back in the Valley of the Sun. May gray, though, however, taking over along the California coastline, including through the Golden Gate Bridge. And behind that, here comes our next weather maker for the weekend. Big storm rolling into Cape Mendocino and the Willamette Valley later today. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
All right, orchardists coming off of last year's devastating peach season are celebrating in Alabama. This season is a major improvement. However, it could take a couple of good seasons for them to fully recover from the freeze in 2023. Gracie Johnson has more.
Peaches are flying off the shelves at Durbin Farms Market in Chilton County.
This is all I got left for today.
They put out their first baskets of peaches Tuesday and had to replenish the supply Wednesday morning. Compared to last season's devastating harvest after a late frost, farmers are rejoicing.
What we were hoping would happen has happened. It's been looking like it's going to be a very fruitful season.
Kenyon Easterling says they're seeing an early harvest this year with peaches already ripened. He expects that to continue as the rest of the crop is ahead of schedule. These peaches here will be the first peaches harvested at their orchard. Easterling tells me that the peaches mature starting on the east side of the orchard, and they mature row after row. That's to ensure they have enough peaches to go around all summer long.
We should have peaches from what you see now on through until close to Labor Day, around Labor Day.
Alrighty, thank you so much for looking in this morning. I'm glad you were able to join me. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you back here on Monday. Good day.